WBAP Tuesday Morning News continues with Hal and Brian here. Quentin Brogdon joins us right now. He's an attorney with Crain, Brogdon, and Rogers. We thought we would get into this whole social media mess that we're in the middle of right now. We've seen Parler now sue Amazon for suspending that app from the cloud service. They've been suspended from Apple as well. Google has given them issues. And now they're looking for some relief here from the courts. And let's just dive in. I guess we have to start with this, Quentin. Does Parler have a leg to stand on here in their fight?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. They have an argument, most certainly. There is a growing consensus that these big tech companies have gotten too big and they're exercising essentially unfettered discretion to make decisions about how to curate the content on their platforms. There's a federal law, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, that does two very important things. It gives these platforms the ability to decide how to moderate and curate their content. And then secondly, it shields them from liability. There's a growing consensus, both in Republican and Democratic circles, if you can believe that something needs to be changed in that law, either repeal it or tweak it significantly. President-elect Biden has said he's in favor, in fact, of repealing the law. Probably that won't happen, but I think there's a good chance it'll get changed in the new administration.
How does Parler prove, and just bottom line this, how do they prove, hey, there's a Democrat in charge here, he just doesn't want Republican views? How do they prove that? And just complete bias?
Well, Parler's, as I understand the Parler antitrust lawsuit that they filed yesterday, they're seeking a temporary restraining order against Amazon. And the claim is that Amazon's decision was made, for anti-competitive reasons, essentially to put Parler out of business. I don't think they're hanging their hat on the political angle of it. I know it's going to be hard for anybody really to hear about what's been going on and the unplugging of the president on Twitter and the suspension of Parler without looking at it through a political lens. But really, the issues here transcend politics. It's about these companies that have gotten so big and they were coddled in the infancy of the Internet. The idea was you can't let them be sued. You have to give them unfettered discretion to decide what goes on there. Essentially they were treated like bulletin boards. And now the consensus is changing that we need to stop coddling them. They are some of the very biggest companies in our economy.
Quentin Brogdon's with us right now, attorney with Crain, Brogdon, and Rogers. We're talking about social media and what folks can do on the pushback to it. Here's what's hard for folks to understand. And that is, there are other big companies out there, big and small companies, but, big companies like Walmart. But then you have small companies like a bake shop who are told that they can't refuse service to someone because, based on their sexual preference or things of that nature. Yet we see this, and it looks like that Republicans and conservatives are being refused service because of their beliefs or because of where they come down on a certain issue. What will prohibit Walmart or some Chevrolet or another big company like that from saying, you know what, I'm not selling cars to conservatives. We saw what you posted online, or we saw that bumper sticker on the back of your vehicle. We're not going to sell one to you. What keeps them from doing that?
Well, you raise a good point. We should not have these platforms curating and censoring simply because they don't agree. If something is inciting people to violence, that's a horse of one color, and there can be some subjectivity in that. It isn't always a black and white determination, but we should not have, and we should not allow any platform to censor speakers or posters or, Twitterers simply based on the fact they don't agree with the political view. That's clear. And I also think, as I said, the consensus has developed that it's just too subjective. These large companies seem to be making up the rules as they go along. We need more predictability and consistency in how this is managed. And whether it's the right or the left being censored, you shouldn't be censoring folks simply based on their political views.
This is all coming off of what happened in Washington, D.C. I'm not asking you for your political affiliation. I'm asking you for your professional law advice here. Did Trump do anything to cause, in his tweets or whatever, did he do anything to cause rioting?
Yeah, I haven't read through all of his tweets, so I can't give you any kind of definitive answer. There's some subjectivity in it. There's an argument to be made that he did. There's also an argument to be made that he did not. And what we have is we have individual companies making up their own rules, and they're making that call. And it just seems, and I think that's, as I said, the consensus is that we've given these companies too much power to decide who gets to speak and about what. You could cynically say that the move that some of these companies made seems to be timed to the fact that perhaps he's leaving office. If you were going to make the case that he should have been unplugged or things he said or things he's tweeted, you could have made that case before, but now they're doing it right when he's leaving office, and it sure seems to be something they're doing perhaps in an attempt to curry some favor with the new administration. Whether you agree with what they've done or not, the timing of it, apart from the fact that we did have the storming of the Capitol, which is a discrete large incident, the timing of it, you could argue, perhaps at least, is connected to some cynical political calculations by these companies. These companies, let's not forget, they're motivated by the profit motive.
Sure. And he's not as valuable to them now. On the way out the door, he's not as valuable to him as he was in the office. Quentin Brogdon, always appreciate the time. The attorney with Crain, Brogdon, and Rogers.